Okay, going live. 3, 2, 1.
Dear Lord, the battle we go through life, we ask for chances fair. Chance equal our strife, chance do it there. We should win, let it be by the code. Faith and honor held high. We should lose, stand by the road. Cheers, the winners go by. Day by day, we get better and better. So we can't beat. Dear Lord.
Welcome back. It's been a long week, long weekend. Maybe better for some of you. I hope everybody's staying healthy. Hope everybody's doing the right thing. Social distancing, enjoying themselves. Mic check. Just making sure. All right. I think we're good. I think we're set. Interesting week in the NFL this week. But here we go. Lace up your cleats, strap up your helmets, drop back, let it rip. Welcome to the Deep Ball with Dilley. I am your host, Jacob Dilley, and welcome back to KSTM. This is the weekly coverage on anything football, but mostly NFL. I appreciate you being here with me, and I hope you find this as entertaining as I do. One thing I start every show off by saying, I'd like you to know that, first off, I appreciate feedback. This is something I want to do professionally. This is my first on-air experience this year. This is my third or fourth show, so I'm really getting my feet wet, creating my own content. With that said, I want to get myself better every day. If I could ask one favor from you guys, it would be add me on social media. Give me topics you want to hear, you want covered. I come up with all this stuff myself, so if I can come up with something that really interests you or you can give me an idea, I'd love to hear it. Do not be misguided if I say no to your idea this week, because it could be a good idea for a coming week and I might be saving it, or I might already have something planned. So I will give you feedback on your suggestions, and I am extremely thankful for anything that I get. My social medias, Instagram, at Dill Sport Radio, kind of creating my own brand out here. So Dill Sport Radio, I'll spell that out for you. DILLSPORTRADIO, Dill Sport Radio. Search that up. Instagram, Twitter, and I just created a YouTube channel. Okay, I'm going to give you my Snapchat real quick. You can add me. I'll add you back. It's Dilley79. That's DILLEY times 2. And then the number 7 and the number 9. Add me. I'll add you back. We could talk some football. You can give me some ideas. Shoot me some feedback. Let me know if there's anything I could fix, anything I can do better. I want to get better. So one of the first things I'm going to start up with, outside of actual NFL news, I did just start up a YouTube channel. So we're going to be live streaming shows. This is the first day that I will be live streaming, but we will start doing this every Tuesday. And then I will also cut up the clips from the hour segment into smaller sections so you can kind of watch what you enjoy. If I cover the Seahawks and you're a Seahawks fan, you can just watch the Seahawks section of the show or anything like that. What you can do for me, subscribe, click the bell. Okay, I want viewers. I want to get better. The only way I can get better is hearing it from you guys and getting my name out there. So if you could do that for me, that'd be amazing. What I can do for you, cover what you want me to cover. Listen, you think your team isn't being talked about enough? I'll talk about them, okay? Let's figure it out, okay? I enjoy talking about whatever it is the population wants me to talk about. So let's get that going. All right, start out the show. We'll just start out with some NFL news for week 5. Just got done with week 5. There is a game tonight. The 3-0 Titans play the 4-0 Buffalo Bills. The Titans kind of making things complicated for the National Football League. COVID is certainly wreaking havoc on the schedule side of the NFL. I think there was like 11 games moved last week because of COVID and because of bye weeks needing to happen. And we had this talk last week on the show how the Steelers kind of got put in a sticky situation, having a week 4 bye when they originally had scheduled a week 8 bye. So it's gonna get sticky for some franchises, but we'll see who comes out on top. One of the big things that happened this week, unfortunately, the Dak Prescott injury. Thoughts and prayers go out to Dak Prescott, his family. Hope he comes back speedy. Never wish anything poor on a guy like that. Never wish injury on anybody. So that's really tough. The official diagnosis for him is it was a compound right ankle fracture and dislocation, according to the Cowboys. The nature of Prescott's injury brings to mind a couple of guys. Alex Smith, who I'll talk about right after this. Alex Smith had that horrible injury. I think it was 2 years ago. I don't think he got any playing time last year. I think it happened towards the tail end of the year before that. I could be wrong. Maybe it started at the beginning of last year. I don't remember it completely, but I remember the injury was pretty gruesome. If you remember, he was kind of leading the Redskins to, I believe they had a winning record before he went down. I know they were winning their division in a really weak division with the Eagles, the Cowboys. Nobody really trying to win that division. It's kind of to see who can lose the most games and still make the playoffs in that division, but we'll save that for another time. So the Redskins were winning that division, had a winning record. If you remember, the Cowboys did not make the postseason last year. The Eagles barely slipped in because the Cowboys just couldn't finish. So it was pretty big deal that the Redskins were not only winning that division, but they had a winning record before he went down. But he had a big leg injury, right? He had like a year's worth of rehab, and he actually just played this last NFL weekend. But Dak Prescott had an injury similar to the Alex Smith injury, and it's a long road to recovery, as we can see through Alex Smith, and you just got to hope that he comes back and he is what he was before being carted off the field. So that's really sad. But and then Gordon Hayward, basketball player, he had a similar injury like that, just a really freak injury, something that kind of turns your stomach upside down when you see it. And Mike McCarthy, the Cowboys head coach, confirmed that Prescott's injury is expected to be season-ending. So we'll see. Just thoughts and prayers go out to Dak. I hope you get well soon. And I'm going to cover a little bit more into Dak Prescott, kind of his career and kind of what that injury is going to mean for certain aspects in his life and then for the Cowboys franchise. So for his future, Dak Prescott this season was having a fantastic season. Let's not sleep on the season that he was having before this injury. He had 9 touchdowns and 1,600 yards prior to Sunday's game. So before he got injured, he was already at 1,700 yards for the season, pretty much 10 yards away, right? 9 touchdowns. Had he been able to complete the season, Prescott probably would have set a lot of new records. I was doing a little research. Chris Wessling from the NFL said Dak was on pace for 6,700 yards, which would have been a new record by more than 1,000 yards. So that's a lot of passing yards for one season. The Cowboys weren't winning a lot of games, but they're having a lot of trouble keeping their defense healthy. So I think a big thing would have come out of Dak Prescott passing for that many yards had he been able to stay on pace. Really upsetting that Dak was injured last Sunday. A financial situation for Dak. The quarterback made just over $2 million last season after earning $630,000 in 2018, $540,000 in 2017, and then $450,000 during his rookie season in 2016. So we're looking at about $4.6 million for his 4 years in his 4 years in his career that he's played. He's earned about $4.6 million total. This guy held out this preseason waiting for a contract. Eventually did show up. Eventually started off red hot, as I just told you. This guy's got to get paid, man. Dak Prescott, maybe not the Mahomes, maybe not the, gosh, who else? Russell Wilson's, okay? But Dak Prescott leading the league in passing yards the first 5 weeks. I mean, this guy's got the arm talent. He runs that Dallas offense better than most quarterbacks would, and you picked him up in the 4th round. So he's past the point in his career where he's getting paid those low dollars. You got through the years where it's expected to be cheap, where it's expected that you build around him, you grab the pieces that you need to grab now while he's still on that rookie deal. Those years are past. So you have the team now. As I talked about last week, I'm not going to try and echo everything that I said last week about the Cowboys, but this team's full of all pros, full of Pro Bowl talent. You have a team around him. Pay that man. I really hope sincerely that he comes back healthy so he does kind of secure the bag, as they say. Dak goes about it the right way, in my opinion. He's not doing anything too controversial. Okay, this guy knows that he's owed some money, and I think he's out there chasing it. It's really sad that he's only made $4.6 million in his career right now through the Dallas Cowboys. We'll see what happens. I hope that if he isn't able to come back, that Jerry Jones kind of sets him up and allows him to have a role in the Dallas Cowboys organization, or just kind of gives him one of those legacy checks that Jerry Jones can write, because that man is full of the green. So, Prescott was set to make $30 million this season on a franchise tag, but obviously he just got injured, so I don't know how that works. I don't know if he's fully guaranteed all of that franchise money, but they could franchise tag him again next year, and it's around $37 million. If they don't want to give him a long-term contract, it's around $37 million for 1 year for him to play quarterback. We'll see what happens. Again, you never know how the rehab process goes, and if there's any bright side, it's that it's happened early in the season. So you should see Dak by the start of next season, hopefully. If I had to guess, he'd be available for training camp next season, and hopefully all is well. And we can kind of get back to joking about the Dallas Cowboys instead of just being upset for them. I like to laugh at them more than I like to talk about injuries, so we'll stick to that. So how about the impact on Dallas? Andy Dalton is now the starting quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys. If you remember, Andy Dalton was the Red Rifle, as they used to call him, for the Cincinnati Bengals. I usually referred to him as the Red Ryder BB gun, because he is nowhere close to a rifle, and I didn't have a high opinion of him. But he's in Dallas now, so I could talk about him from a professional standpoint. I think this works out for Dallas. There's not a high ceiling, but there's not a low floor, if that makes sense. You get what you paid for. They signed him to a smaller contract this offseason to kind of secure the backup. Some people say the most valuable position in football outside of the quarterback is the backup quarterback. Okay. Obviously, that's not 100% accurate, but it is a big deal to have a good backup quarterback. Andy Dalton could win this division. This division is disgustingly bad. They're winning their division right now at 2-3. No other team in their division right now has 2 wins, I believe. I know the Eagles just lost to the Steelers. They're 1-3-1. And then The Redskins may have 2 wins, but I'm not 100% sure. And then who is the other team in their division? 1 second here. Who is it? The Giants. The Giants are 0-5. So, yeah, the Washington football team is 1-4. Eagles are 1-3. Cowboys are 2-3. So, Andy Dalton could be returning to the playoffs, and we'll see what the Red Rifle or the Red Ryder BB gun brings to the table. But for right now, the Cowboys are atop of their division 2-3 with a quarterback that's been in the league for a while, so they're not in bad hands. He can run this offense. Maybe not as efficiently, maybe not as pass happy as Dak Prescott was running it, but feed Zeke, as they say, and I think the Dallas Cowboys will be fine. They got to figure out defense. Andy Dalton is not the concern for me. Moving on to some other news. Seahawks 5-0, Packers 4-0, Steelers 4-0, Titans 3-0, Buffalo Bills 4-0. Is it fair only one team has truly proven they are worthy to be undefeated? Let me set the record straight here before I have a bunch of talented teams and their fan bases at my throat. Every team on this list deserves to be here. It's not questionable. There may be arguments on how they rank. One of those teams was 3-0. So a couple of these other teams are 5-0. Some of these teams have played some really good teams. So there may be arguments on the rankings on what undefeated teams are better than others, but the fact of the matter is each team got here for a reason. The narrative right now that I've read from multiple different analysts and multiple different fan bases is that I've even heard this about my own Pittsburgh Steelers, that other teams that have a 0 in the loss column, they haven't proven anything, that their undefeated title means nothing. So what exactly does that mean? Are these NFL franchises playing less than NFL talent? Because last time I checked, the Jets haven't been demoted to NCAA football. So I think we're still playing NFL-level talent. I have a hard time understanding these comments. There used to be a debate, right? 2013, 2014, 2015, around that time, unquestionably the worst team in the NFL was the Cleveland Browns. This was the Josh McCown era, the Johnny Manziel era, the one-game RG3 won in 2 years, so they went 1-31 in 2 years. This was that era, right? And the debate was, could Alabama beat the Cleveland Browns? Alabama was on top of the college football scene, winning a bunch of national titles. The Cleveland Browns winning 1 game in 2 years. Understandably, every sports analyst laughed at this question. There is no debate. It wouldn't be close. The talent of any NFL team, injuries or not, is remarkable and unmatched anywhere in the world. Put together any team in the entire world, the NFL has the best football teams on the planet. It's not debatable. The NFL brings in guys from different countries to try out and make their roster. They bring in the best talent from any college in the United States and elsewhere. It's not close. I don't understand why this is a thing. Why it was a debate then, and why people are saying that beating this team or beating that team means nothing. It always means something, okay? Please stop saying that this team hasn't proven anything by beating that team, blah, blah, blah. These teams are elite, all-world talents. Any win is a special win. Any win is a win. I don't care if you win by 20, if you win by 1. A win is a win. Now, you can certainly rank these undefeated teams, and I'll rank them for you. But every win is a special win. I just want to throw that out there. I think there's a lot of ignorant fans. I've seen a lot of them on Twitter. They're just saying this team hasn't proven anything. They haven't played anybody. I'm not really sure what that means. That just doesn't make any sense to me. So to rank these undefeated teams, I'm just going to read them out one more time. You got the Seahawks at 5-0. You got the Packers at 4-0. They had a bye week this last week. The Steelers are 4-0. They beat the Eagles last week. The Titans are 3-0, and the Bills are 4-0, and the Titans and Bills play tonight. Okay? I think for me, 1 and 2, you can flip them, you can swap them. You do whatever you want to do. But I think for number 1 and number 2 on these power rankings, I think Packers are number 1 for me. I think Aaron Rodgers has been unstoppable, absolutely red hot. Aaron Jones is running back, is playing well. This defense is playing well. I think the Packers are number 1. Number 2 is the 5-0 Seahawks. Again, either one of they're neck and neck for me. I'd love to see these two play. I think they're both going to see each other later in the playoffs. I think they are 2 of the strongest teams in the NFC. The Seahawks, 5-0. They played the Vikings last night. What a game. The Vikings kept it really close. The Vikings are competitive. The record doesn't say that they are, but the Vikings have been really competitive this season, just losing some tight ones. The Seahawks, 5-0, are my number 2 team. Number 3, out of the 5 teams left, the Buffalo Bills are my number 3 team. Buffalo Bills defense is absolutely the best defense in their division, right? So last year there was a lot of talk that New England had the best defense, not only in that division, but in the National Football League. And they have reigning Defensive Player of the Year, Stephon Gilmore, out there in New England still. But a lot of guys opted out. If you remember correctly, a lot of that New England defense opted out for COVID reasons. And I think enough Bills players stayed. I think enough coaching has taken place where this Bills defense has become the best defense in that division. Josh Allen playing at an MVP level. I got some stats for him later in the show, but Josh Allen is playing amazing compared to his career years previously. I think Josh Allen is really at the top of the NFL in the QB tiers right now. Certainly this season he's shown up. Number 4 on the power rankings for undefeated teams, I got the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Steelers offense finally got over that 30-point threshold last week. Rookie wide receiver Chase Claypool had 4 touchdowns in one game. Broke the NFL rookie record for touchdowns in one game. And got close to the legend. The record for most touchdowns in one game is 6 by the late Gale Sayers. Rest in peace to Gale Sayers. What a legend. What a talented running back. And I don't think that record will be broken anytime soon. I think Gale Sayers is going to hold that one for a while, but special day for Chase Claypool. Congrats to him for breaking that rookie record. And the Steelers defense, best front 7 in the National Football League, in my opinion. Again, call me biased. I don't have a front 7 that compares. You have an A+ in TJ Watt. You have a B in Bud Dupree on edge rushers. So, I mean, you're averaging, an A- right there, B+ for edge rushers. Defensive line, Stephon Tuitt's one of the best DNs. They got Cam Hayward, just signed a contract. They wouldn't re-sign this guy if he wasn't a great player, okay? This guy's been on the Steelers for a long time. He's an A-caliber player, blue chip player. Cam Hayward's great. Devin Bush at middle linebacker. What else can you ask for? It's best front 7 in the National Football League. Big Ben's back. He's keeping their offense legit, keeping the Pittsburgh Steelers Lombardi contenders. This is the first time they're 4-0 since the 70s when they won Super Bowls. I think it was 78 and 79, I believe. And they started 4-0 in 78 and 79, and then won the Super Bowl both years. It's the first time they've started 4-0 since then. Big deal for Pittsburgh. I got them at number 4. And then number 5, the Tennessee Titans at 3-0. I think the Titans are going to lose a lot in player talent. If players have to sit out because they are quarantining, because this team just can't do what the rest of the world is able to do and just kind of quarantine and do your job, it's going to look bad for the Titans, and it's going to reflect record-wise. I think there's a chance the Bills wipe the floor with the Titans tonight and bring the Titans back down to earth. I just hope more cases don't break out, because the Titans have been kind of the mainstream COVID team so far this year, holding practices when they aren't supposed to and blah, blah, blah. But we'll move past that. So my rankings, Packers and Seahawks are 1 and 2. I don't care how you put them. For me, Packers 1, but there's a case for either team 1 and 2. 3, Bills. 4, Steelers. 5, Titans. Some solid NFL teams out here that are there for a reason. I don't want to hear that ever again. I don't want to hear that they didn't prove anything by beating this team. Every team is the most talented football teams in the world inside the National Football League. So, some other NFL news this week. Let's have a little conversation. Who is your MVP this year? I'm going to check my chat real quick and see if there's anything in there. I got a lot in the chat here. Let me check out players. People say I want to talk about the Vikings. The Vikings, I think they're talented. I think their record is not depicting of how talented they really are. Dalvin Cook is making his case to be the best running back in the NFL. Coming into this season, it's a main stream of 3 guys, right? Saquon Barkley, Christian McCaffrey, and Alvin Kamara. Dalvin Cook doesn't really get talked about because of his injury history, I think. But these last couple of years, I think he's been really good. Kirk Cousins is playing great this year, better than previous years. I wasn't high on the Kirk Cousins signing back when they first signed him for Minnesota. I just think that he's not a guy that's going to really lead you to the playoffs. But he's played great for Minnesota, and I think it's going to work out for him. I think that division is going to be tight. The Bears are making it close. If the Bears can figure out any sort of quarterback play, that division is really tight. The Bears could come out. If they roll over the Packers a couple times, if they sweep against the Packers, this division's tight, really tight. The Lions don't really make a case to do anything, but there's 3 viable teams to make the playoffs, a lot like the AFC North. You got the Ravens, the Browns, the Steelers. I think the top 3 for the NFC North is the Packers, the Bears, the Vikings. They can all make noise. So, can we call in? No, you cannot call into the show, but I will read your chats from the live stream. So I appreciate y'all being here. Yeah. I got one person says Russell Wilson is their MVP, so let's talk about that. Who is your MVP? So Russell Wilson had a game-winning drive last week against those Vikings we just talked about. Russell Wilson's looking dangerous this year. I don't know. Like I said a little bit ago, I want to see the Packers and the Seahawks play in the playoffs or later this year. I don't know if they meet each other on the schedule. I'm not sure. But that's going to be the game to watch in the NFC. There isn't a lot of powerhouses left in the NFC after or relating to last year. So you had the 49ers last year. They're not really where they are or where they were last year. Jimmy Garoppolo got benched last week. Their running game isn't the same. George Kittle's kind of the biggest thing that San Francisco's got going for him. So I don't know if there's a lot of competition in that division other than the LA Rams are 1 game behind of Seattle. I don't think they're as talented as Seattle. I think the passing attack for the Seahawks is unmatched. It's in conversation. It's worth noting that they may be better than the Kansas City passing attack right now. It's close. It's really close. Kansas City fell off last week. They lost to the Raiders. Patrick Mahomes finally looked human for the first time in his career, really, where he kind of threw some picks, kind of didn't make the right decisions late in the game, bombed some passes up maybe he shouldn't have. So Patrick Mahomes is human if you want to take that away from that game, and the Raiders beat Kansas City in Kansas City. That's a big accomplishment. So Russell Wilson sits above Patrick Mahomes. I don't want to make a case for Patrick Mahomes right now. Certainly, as the season goes on, he will always be in the conversation, but I'm not going to make a case for him right now because there's other guys that are ahead of him. Aaron Rodgers, 0 interceptions. He's been untouchable. He's thrown 0 interceptions in 5 weeks now. They're 5-0. That's impressive. Or 4-0, excuse me. They had their bye week last week. They're 4-0. That's impressive. Starting out red hot with this team. He doesn't have to do too much. Whenever they need Aaron Jones to show up, he shows up. Whenever that run game is shut down, Aaron Rodgers, he's got weapons. He's got the pure ability to make things happen. And if you remember, they drafted his replacement. This seems like a sort of Cinderella story or maybe like a revenge tour. Like I've said before in previous shows, Aaron Rodgers is out here with a vengeance. I'd be scared. NFC North, it's going to be tough. Can't wait for those matchups in the NFC North. I can't wait for those rivalry games. Aaron Rodgers is certainly up there. Josh Allen, he's got 2 game-winning drives this season. His team is 4-0. He's got 1,300 yards passing, 12 touchdowns, and only 1 interception. Josh Allen, you can make a case for him. He's playing like he's never played before. He's showed some flashes that he can be successful, that he can be special for this Buffalo Bills team. And for a AFC East that is post-Tom Brady era, I think you love what you're seeing from Josh Allen. Buffalo has to be excited that they can now be the dynasty maybe in the AFC East. I don't see him winning Super Bowls with that team right now, but I think this team is talented and they're going to make a playoff run. We'll see. So who's your MVP? I got one person in the chat said Russell Wilson. I could see it. I think he might be playing the best quarterback play right now. But I think Aaron Rodgers is right there nipping at his heels. And then I think Josh Allen is just playing at an unbelievable level compared to the last couple of years he's played. I think right now he's playing peak Josh Allen from what we've seen. So Wilson over Rodgers, absolutely. I think right now Wilson over Rodgers. Drew Brees, I'm not making a case for Drew Brees. That team's been off. I think that division's going to be really close. So let's keep going. Divisional races. Let's discuss divisional races. We'll start in the NFC. NFC West, we just talked about it. The Seattle Seahawks are on top, and the Los Angeles Rams are 1 game behind. I think the Rams can make a case. If this Rams defense can step up and play like we've known them to play in previous seasons, it could be tight. I just think you got to have a really good secondary to shut down this Seattle passing offense. The DK Metcalfs, the Tyler Lockett's, the Will Dissly, the tight ends they got in Seattle seem to always get open somehow. They're not the biggest name guys, but Pete Carroll really knows what he's drawing up in Seattle. So I love that Seattle passing attack. It's going to be hard to stop Seattle offensively. So they're putting it all together. Los Angeles Rams are number 2 there. Arizona Cardinals are number 3 in that division at 3-2. And then former NFC champion and your NFC representative in last year's Super Bowl, the 49ers are in last place in that division. Don't expect to see a lot out of them, but 49ers would be winning their division if they were in the NFC East. So we'll throw that out there. Don't sleep on these Arizona Cardinals. I like I like the Arizona Cardinals. I like what they're doing offensively. They got two really good running backs, the 1-2 punch. It's beautiful in Arizona. Kyler Murray can use his legs at any point in time. And don't forget that number one guy they traded for this offseason, DeAndre Hopkins, playing like an absolute legend. I believe he had a touchdown last week, balled out. They got Larry Fitzgerald, still there in Arizona. Their defense is impressive too. You got Budda Baker, Chandler Jones off the edge that nobody seems to talk about, and he always leads the league in sacks. Nobody ever seems to talk about him for some reason. They drafted Isaiah Simmons, a really prototype defensive player, but special, no doubt, special player on defense. And then you got Patrick Peterson at corner. So I think these guys can make a splash. They're only 3-2. They only have 2 losses right now. So don't sleep on the Cardinals. I think they can make a wild card push, especially because there's 7 teams in the playoffs this year. So we'll see what happens there. NFC South, you got the Saints at 3-2, winning their division. Tampa Bay Buccaneers at 3-2, tied for winning the division. And the Carolina Panthers at 3-2, tied for winning the division. And you love to remember every time the Falcons blow a lead, they're 0-5. They're not going to do a darn thing this year. I'm not even going to waste time talking about them. So let's talk about the Saints. The Saints, they're underperforming offensively outside of Alvin Kamara. Saw reports this week, Michael Thomas, arguably the number 1 wide receiver in the NFL, he's sitting out this game because the New Orleans Saints decided to suspend him because of an altercation he got in with practice with a teammate. Not good things happening in New Orleans. I don't like that. I don't like those stories. From an Antonio Brown standpoint, being a Steelers fan, it feels similar. I don't like it. So hopefully Drew Brees can kind of pull this team together. Drew Brees is starting to play like an older quarterback, kind of falling off maybe. We'll see what happens there. Tampa Bay, another old quarterback, Tom Brady, kind of having a little mental lapse against Chicago, thinking it was 4th down. We don't know for sure if that's what he thought, but it seems pretty obvious. He thought it was 4th down, or he thought there was an extra down to be played, and he throws a ball in tight coverage against the Bears about 20 yards down the field, and I don't think there was a chance in God's green earth that it was going to be completed because the coverage was great. I think Tom was kind of trying to force one there, thinking that he had one more play afterwards, and the game ended. Tampa lost by 1, and Chicago escapes with the W. Tampa Bay's offense, they lost O.J. Howard, but this offense is insanely talented. So if they can get healthy even a little bit, I think there's a big push to be made in the NFC South. The Carolina Panthers, people wrote them off when Christian McCaffrey got injured. He's out for the rest of the season. But Teddy Bridgewater, man, this is a guy that I've liked ever since his days in Minnesota. He was a fun quarterback to watch. He's not as mobile now, but I think he's smarter. I think he plays the game of football better than he used to. He doesn't panic. He doesn't run for his life in situations where he used to have to. And in the Minnesota days when he played there, their offensive line wasn't amazing. That was like tail end of Adrian Peterson's career there. They didn't have an amazing line for him to run behind, not an amazing line for pass protection either. But Teddy Bridgewater making major steps in his career. 3-way tie for the NFC South. Listen, 3 wide in racing is a big deal. Three teams tied for the lead in the NFC South. It's anybody's race. I could see anybody come out of this one, including Carolina. We'll see what happens. NFC East, it's really tempting to skip over these guys, but we're going to talk about them to be fair. Dallas Cowboys winning at 2-3. Eagles 1-3-1 in second place. Washington 1-4-0. So I don't know why I said in 0 right there. Excuse me. They're 1-4 in third place in their division, and the Giants are 0-5, last place in their division. So we're not going to talk about the Giants. I've had enough of the Giants football team this year. The Cowboys, we talked about them. Andy Dalton is perfectly capable of leading the Cowboys to the playoffs. We'll see if Mike McCarthy can string some things together, piece some things together on this defense so that they can be competitive in games. They're kind of riddled with the injury bug, so maybe there's not so much to blame against Dallas right now, but I don't know. I don't like making excuses for this team. Again, thoughts and prayers for Dak Prescott. That's really sad. I like to spend my time laughing at the Cowboys, not feeling sad for injuries. But this is one of those times where you got to talk about it. The Eagles, I don't know how to feel about the Eagles. I have mixed emotions. They got guys that can ball out at certain times and look competitive against teams like the Steelers, but then they go and Carson Wentz kind of stinks up the joint. He hasn't looked good post all of his injuries. I don't like what he's doing there under center in Philadelphia, but in this division, it's anybody's to win besides the Giants. Washington football team, they benched first round pick Dwayne Haskins. They brought Kyle Allen up to start, and they brought Alex Smith for backup. So we talked about Alex Smith a little bit at the beginning of the show, but what an amazing story for Alex Smith to come back and play some NFL snaps after he absolutely destroyed his leg, spent so much time in rehab. Again, if you remember, he was leading the division at that time. He led the Redskins to a winning record, and they were winning the NFC East before his injury, back when he got injured. I like Alex Smith a lot. He's not the splash play guy. He's not the Mahomes. He's not the Wilson, but certainly a guy that can sling it around and not throw too many interceptions. So you like what you see at Alex Smith. If he can regenerate some magic, maybe the Redskins can make a push to win the NFC East. If I had to take somebody right now, I'm taking the Cowboys just because Andy Dalton's been there and this team's so talented. Maybe they could put something together on defense. The NFC North. You got the Green Bay Packers 4-0. They had a bye week. Chicago Bears 4-1. They just beat Tom Brady. And then the Detroit Lions 1-3. Minnesota Vikings 1-4. If there is a sleeper team to throw in the hat of making the playoffs, give me the Minnesota Vikings to really shock some people later in this season. They've lost 4 games. There's room for maybe one more loss, 2 max. But if they can string together some red-hot offense, some magic to where you get some great takeaways, some fumbles, some like tipped interceptions, those plays that borderline just go your way, There's not really a reason. There's not somebody that played amazing right here. The play just really went your way. I could see the Vikings really making a push for the playoffs. Give me them to shock some people. But to talk about the other teams, the Vikings are in last place below the Lions. There's no question to me the Vikings are more talented than the Lions. The Lions haven't played well for Matt Patricia. I think this is the last year he's going to coach for Detroit. So I'm not going to talk about them. I'm done talking about the Vikings. Let's talk about the 2 teams with 4 W's. The Green Bay Packers. I think I've talked about them enough too, actually. Aaron Rodgers, we know how bad of a man that guy is. Green Bay, they're certainly the favorites, I think, to win this division. Unfairly to the Bears, they kind of sit in Aaron Rodgers' shadow a lot just because the quarterback play is never what the Bears would like it to be. I think that's fair to say. I think any Bears fans would tell you the same thing. I don't know that anybody's really sad to see Trubisky go after this season. I think it's frustrating that you have young talent in Chicago, and you have a great guy that's been there for a while, Allen Robinson. Still haven't heard any contract updates. I talked about that last week. Allen Robinson plays like a man possessed at times, and he just doesn't get a chance to make a play on the ball. His quarterbacks underthrow it or throw it 20 yards farther downfield than he has the ability to catch. So I think the Bears, if they can work some magical quarterback play, the Bears are really going to shock some people, and they could make a push to win this division. But right now, the favorites are the Packers. We'll see what happens. AFC, we got the Buffalo Bills at 4-0, the New England Patriots at 2-2, the Dolphins are at 2-3, and the New York Jets 0-5. I'll talk about the last place team first. The New York Jets 0-5. I think they're the worst team in football right now. I just read a report before this show, about 5 minutes before the show started. I saw a report. Don't know if it's true or not, but they're shopping Le'Veon Bell. We'll see what happens, man. You guys paid him a lot of money, and you haven't gotten a darn thing out of him. Setting your franchise back. They started Joe Flacco last week. They're kind of recreating a AFC North backfield out there with the Joe Flacco previously on the Ravens and the Le'Veon Bell previously with the Steelers. Yeah, they're the worst team in football right now. Miami Dolphins are 2-3. Are we going to sit Tua all year? It's not a problem because Ryan Fitzpatrick's playing great football right now. I know they won last week. Yeah, they beat the 49ers. So that's good. I think it only benefits Tua to sit him right now. I think Ryan Fitzpatrick's playing well enough to win you guys some games. The division is still tight. You're only 2 games behind Buffalo. The Patriots are 2-2. The Dolphins are 2-3. So I guess you could say they're a game behind New England. So we'll see how that shapes out. But I think the Dolphins are playing really competitive for the team that they have. The New England Patriots, I really liked what the Patriots offense was doing early in the season with Cam Newton. Cam hasn't been able to play. The Patriots didn't get a play this week. We'll see what happens with Cam. I hope he gets healthy, and I hope he continues to play like a great quarterback. He's certainly making a case for comeback player of the year. Outside of my favorite, Ben Roethlisberger, for comeback player of the year. But we'll see. Alex Smith's in that conversation too. We'll see who comes away with it. And then the Buffalo Bills 4-0. Again, MVP caliber quarterback play out of Josh Allen. Amazing defense, best defense in that division, one of the best defenses in the NFL. I think there's no reason why the Buffalo Bills can't continue to be successful and stay on top of the AFC East. But we'll see how they play the Patriots. Bill Belichick obviously always got a plan for any team that he plays against. So if Cam Newton's playing for New England, that'll be a good game to watch. Bills versus Patriots. Look forward to watching it. AFC North. This one's scary. 4-0. Steelers are on top of the division. 4-1. Baltimore in second place. 4-1. Cleveland tied for second place. 1-3. 1-3-1. Cincinnati Bengals in fourth place. The Steelers play their first divisional game this week against the Browns. I can say that I'm looking forward to it. I can't say who's going to come out on top on this one. The Cleveland offense has been playing really well. The Pittsburgh offense just broke that 30-point threshold, so I think it's fair to say they're playing pretty well. Ben's getting into the rhythm of things, looking like a healthy Ben Roethlisberger. The Pittsburgh defense, the best front seven, but maybe not the best in the secondary department. I haven't seen the Minkah Fitzpatrick effect out of Pittsburgh. I don't know what's going on there for safety play. The corners played well last weekend, but there's times where the front seven kind of falls asleep and then wakes back up in the fourth and saves the game. We'll see. There's not a lot of room for that falling asleep and saving the team at the end in divisional play. There's not room for it, especially in great divisions like the AFC North. It's going to be a close game. It's going to be a fun one to watch. This is also the first game Myles Garrett's going to be playing against the Steelers since the Mason Rudolph helmet slamming situation. We'll see how that goes. Mike Tomlin already commented he's not He's not ready to listen to the reality TV motives that are going to come with the game. I think it's a great way to look at it. I don't really want to hear all that drama. I just want to see people going out there and playing football professionally. So the Ravens in second place. The Ravens offense has looked a little sleepy these last couple weeks, but Lamar Jackson hasn't been 100%, so we'll see if their offense returns to form. Their defense, just as crazy as the Steelers. Marlon Humphrey, turnover machine. He's playing great. I think these top three teams in the AFC North are all worthy of being talked about to possibly make a playoff run this year. And it's surprising to me that we're talking about the Browns like this, but they're putting games together. So maybe they're finally doing something right there in Cleveland. And then the Cincinnati Bengals at 1-3-1. I have high hopes for this team too. I think they can finish mediocre. I think they could finish around that 8-8 group of teams because Joe Burrow plays great football. I think this team needs to invest in protecting him, needs to invest in some defensive playmakers in free agency coming up, in the draft coming up. And I think this team will compete in this division too. It's scary to say. Once Ben leaves, I don't know who the king of this division is going to be, but it's going to be tough. So that's the AFC North breakdown. AFC West, Kansas City 4-1, the Raiders 3-2, Broncos 1-3, Chargers 1-4. Chargers playing decent on offense with Justin Herbert. I like Justin Herbert. I think he's going to be a bright young quarterback. The Broncos are too injury-riddled to really do anything or make some noise in this league, so I think I'm writing them off for the season. The Raiders just had an impressive win over Kansas City. I don't think the Raiders are going to contend to win this division necessarily, but I think they're going to make some noise. I think they got some good young offensive talent in Henry Ruggs, Josh Jacobs, and I might have to correct myself on saying this defense isn't as talented as their record shows. Their defense seems to make plays even when you don't know whose name the announcer's calling when they're running the other way. Sometimes they're getting interceptions from guys you've never heard of, or linebackers were playing great. I don't know defensive guys on the Raiders right now. I can't really name any. I think Carl Joseph is on the Raiders. That's really all I could tell you on their defense, but maybe I need to look into it and educate myself a little bit. They're playing good football. Kansas City, maybe they just had a sleep week, kind of playing down the competition as Pittsburgh famously does. Maybe that happened for Andy Reid and the Chiefs drop one against the Raiders, but they're in 4-1, good shape. I think the Raiders are a team to watch for a wild card spot. Last division, AFC South, you got the Tennessee Titans. Tennessee Titans are 3-0. The Indianapolis Colts are 3-2. The Houston Texans are 1-4, and the Jaguars are 1-4. Jaguars don't really have anything to say. Gardner Minshew is playing decent, but there's not a lot of talent around him. And when you listen to the coaching staff, so you can sometimes find mic'd up videos on YouTube that the NFL releases of people on the sideline and players on the field mic'd up talking about the game. And I watched last week, it was either last week or 2 weeks ago, the Jaguars mic'd up, and the coaches seem to be okay with losing just by their body language, by the way they talk to their quarterbacks. They're like, hey, man, you played a really good game, and these things are just going to happen. No, these things aren't just going to happen unless your franchise has that mentality. So I think they need a little front office reboot, and that's upsetting if you're a Jaguars fan. That's all I really have to say about them. Texans don't really have a head coach right now, and they got their first win of the season, so we'll see how special Deshaun Watson really is and if he can resurrect this Texans team. The Colts, still the number one defense in the NFL, but Phillip Rivers played an absolutely nightmarish game last week, throwing cross-body throws, throwing balls that are able to be jumped and picked off. You can't do that. This is a special defense in Indianapolis. that's really shocked the NFL, I believe. I don't think anybody thought the Colts defense would be this special. But if you're Phillip Rivers, you need to be a game manager at this point. You're not – I don't think you've ever really been amazing. I don't think Phillip Rivers is an elite quarterback, but that's my opinion. But you're not at that stage in your career where you can make the plays and carry this team. You need to let the defense carry the team, game manage, play field position, and let that amazing running back that you drafted, Jonathan Taylor, kind of do his thing, because you want to talk smack to the Bears in the middle of a snap, but you go and absolutely poop the bed in the best way to put it. This week, throwing picks and just playing absolutely horrible offense. Just be a game manager at this point. It'll do more for your career legacy than anything you've done with San Diego at this point, or San Diego and LA during his career. The best thing you can do right now is let the Colts carry you, and you be a game manager and let that offense play field position. That's all you have to do. There's not a lot of teams that are going to just do whatever they want on your defense. So Phillip Rivers got to dial down his ego a little bit, and I think that team can be successful. The Titans, we'll see what the Titans have to offer. We haven't seen them play for a couple weeks. COVID's really taking a toll on them, and they're not helping themselves any by going and doing whatever they want outside of NFL rules. I know they're getting punishments, and there was talks that they may have to forfeit a game, but we'll see what happens. I don't really know Tennessee right now. Haven't seen enough of them, so I can't really give you any good feedback on them, but they're number one in their division and undefeated. So I suppose they deserve to be there. I could see the Colts making it interesting for the top of this division. So that's the end of the standings. I'm going to check the streaming chat again, and we'll scroll up a little bit because I haven't seen it in a while. I'm just reading right here, so if it's a little quiet on the air, it's okay. Thoughts on the Browns? I think the Browns played incredible last week. Their offense really clicked, and the week before that, prior to their game last week, so I'm talking Saturday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, that period, I think there was a lot of speculation that OBJ isn't what he used to be, that he isn't the number one wide receiver that he was in New York a while back. He's looking like a good number one, looking like a bona fide number one these last 2 weeks for Cleveland. Baker Mayfield is putting together some good throws, so we'll see. We'll see how they play against Pittsburgh. I think this is one of the biggest tests the Steelers defense is going to have, and one of the biggest tests the Browns offense is going to have. So we'll see what happens there. I look forward to the game. It's going to be really fun to watch. Thoughts on Darnell Mooney? Hasn't really made a splash yet, but I don't think he has the quarterback play to make that splash. So you see guys like Chase Claypool and Justin Jefferson and CeeDee Lamb making splashes, but they got guys like Dak Prescott, Ben Roethlisberger, Kirk Cousins. Okay, Kirk Cousins hasn't always been great, but he's an upgraded quarterback play compared to what we've seen from Chicago, at least this season. So there may be a blue chip caliber player there, but we don't know. I don't think Chicago fans even know, and I don't think if we had a preseason we would know. I just think that because there's not great quarterback play in Chicago, you can't see everything that you have at the wide receiver position. So we'll see. What else we got? CeeDee Lamb is becoming the guy for the Dallas offense. You already have a number one. I think Amari Cooper's the bona fide number one no matter who you bring in right now. So I don't put CeeDee Lamb above Amari Cooper because Amari Cooper's already proven himself. We'll see how this offense carries themselves with Andy Dalton at quarterback. You might see an resurgence. I think that's the word I'm looking for. kind of a rebirth of CeeDee Lamb. You might see this guy really get a lot of targets in this offense, and Cowboys fans are certainly have a reason to be excited in CeeDee Lamb. So that Cowboys offense is great. Always has one of the best offensive lines, has a top 3 running back in the NFL, and amazing pass catchers. We'll see if they can put together a winning record. That's all I really have to say about them. Would you put Kyler Murray in the run for MVP? Right now, I don't think he's in the conversation, but I think it's going to be interesting as the season goes on. I really like this Arizona team. I was thinking about my first show that I ever did. I was thinking about giving a way too early Super Bowl prediction. And outside of me being biased, I was going to give an Arizona Steelers Super Bowl prediction. So throwing out the Steelers side of it and whatever you want to say about that, I think Arizona can really be special. And I think if this defense can play at the level that all of their special players have. So Budda Baker, if he can play at the top of his career right now, and Patrick Peterson, he's older. He's 30, I believe. Joe Hayden's 31, so he's 30. If he can play like he used to play before the drug suspensions and that, if he can play like he did, so Budda Baker, Patrick Peterson, that's a great secondary. I don't care if you throw a random college athlete in that secondary. I think it's still a great secondary, honestly, because of their ability and because of what we've already seen through their careers. We know that they can play at the top of the NFL in their respective positions. So you got that for secondary. And then pass rushing, you got Chandler Jones. Chandler Jones, nobody ever talks about him, but he always leads the league in sacks at the end of the season. I know there's a stat out there. I don't know it off the top of my head. It's something crazy, like he has the most sacks out of any player since 2015 or something like that. So he's obviously a talented pass rusher. This defense can play with the best of them, I believe. And this offense is absolutely special. They brought in Cliff Kingsbury. It was either 1 year or 2 years ago. And he's got a really crazy offense that may be the future of the NFL. And it's starting to piece together now. They got their offensive guy. Whenever Larry walks away, whenever Larry Legend, the Larry Fitzgerald, walks away from the game of football, we're all going to be sad. But the Cardinals are ready for it. They have DeAndre Hopkins. That's a great fit for that offense. Kenyon Drake and I don't remember the other something Edwards. I can't remember it. But they got two great running backs in Arizona. Absolutely, I can see this Cardinals team being something special, and I could see Kyler really leading a hot streak for Arizona, putting him in that MVP conversation. Right now, no, but I can see it happening, absolutely. You look at what Nick Foles did when Wentz went down. Foles came in and made a run, won the Super Bowl. Maybe Dalton can do the same. We'll see. Andy Dalton's got a really bad rap. I don't know if it's Marvin Jones' fault, the old Cincinnati head coach. I remember the bad rap was that they couldn't win playoff games. So Andy Dalton always played really mediocre in playoff games when Cincinnati made it. He'd always have around 200 yards passing and like 55% completion, somewhere around there. Not great quarterback play by any stretch of the imagination. And Cincinnati could never win a playoff game. And I think they have the longest drought of not winning a playoff game. They haven't won since Boomer Esiason was quarterback. So could it happen? Absolutely. Do I think it'll be the same Cinderella story? No. I don't think you'll see another story quite like that Nick Foles Eagles run. I don't think you'll see that again for a long time. That's about it in the chat. Let me go check my script one more time, make sure I've covered everything. That's really it. I didn't give you guys a lot of the picks this week, like who I think is going to win the game. But I don't see anybody waiting outside, so we can run through it really fast. I'll read you guys the games that are supposed to happen this week. Supposed to. I say supposed to because COVID could change anytime. So 12 o'clock games that are supposed to happen this Sunday. Broncos and Patriots. I think Patriots win that one if Cam Newton is healthy. Again, the Broncos are too injury riddled to make noise, so we'll see. Titans versus Texans. I'm excited to see how the Titans play tonight. Again, the Titans team is a question mark for me. I don't know too much about them. They made a great playoff run last year, but I haven't seen enough of them this year to have an opinion one way or the other. We'll see how special Deshaun Watson is, this season, if he can turn the Texans around at all and even pull out an 8-8 season, I think would be special. Browns and Steelers. Even being biased, I think this is going to be a close game. We'll see. If there's anything as a Steelers fan I could throw out there for you, it's that Big Ben is 19-2 or 18-2 all time against the Browns. So career-wise, Big Ben owns the Browns. So we have a quarterback that can throw more than 20 yards, and we don't have to run Wildcat the whole game. Big Ben hasn't played the Browns the last 3 times we faced the Browns. So, they're gonna get a little fresh reminder of who Big Ben is and who's the king of the AFC North quarterback wise. But we'll keep going. Ravens 4-1 playing the Eagles. I think the Ravens offense, if they can get back to 100%, this game will probably be a blowout in Ravens fashion where Lamar just goes crazy and throws it to his tight ends a lot. And this defense can absolutely handle the Eagles offense. So I think the Ravens win that one. Washington football team against the Giants. Giants are 0-5. They're probably going to go 0-6. Not a lot to say about that game. Falcons are 0-5, playing the Vikings 1-4. The Falcons just fired Dan Quinn, as I predicted last week. And I think the Vikings win that game. Julio Jones has been out lately. I don't know for sure what's going on with him, but he hasn't been healthy. So look for this Vikings team to start making that splash I was talking about. 1-3 Lions versus the 1-4 Jaguars. It doesn't really matter who I pick here. Nobody's really going to watch this game. I'll go for the Lions just for the fun of it. The Bengals 1-3-1 against the Colts 3-2. If Phillip Rivers can be a game manager, the Colts will play amazing this game. And the Colts defense will absolutely thrive against this young Bengals offense. Again, I like everything this Bengals offense is doing with what they have right now, but the Colts team is just better. As long as Phillip Rivers doesn't stink up the joint, the Colts should win this easily. 3-2 Panthers against the 4-1 Bears. This is going to be a fun game to watch. I love the Carolina offense has been great lately. Robbie Anderson is really the security blanket for Teddy Bridgewater, and I think Robbie Anderson's absolutely playing well, playing like he deserved that contract that he got in free agency this year. And then they got the DJ Moore, and they got the Mike Davis, I believe that's his name, Mike Davis, the running back, and he's playing well. He's not a Christian McCaffrey, but he's playing well. The Bears coming off of a close one against Tampa, their defense looked sharper than they did in the first half. And they've been playing well for the majority of this season. David Montgomery, he's playing like a number one. Like Tariq Cohen could have been shipped off at any point, but Chicago decided to sign him anyways. I like the run game for Chicago. I think they do some things that other teams can't as far as the run game goes because they run the ball so much, because the quarterback play is not what maybe Chicago wishes it was. So they're forced to run the ball and get creative in that aspect. If the Bears control the clock and let their defense do a lot of work, it'll be a close one. But if the Bears offense can put things together, maybe this game won't be so close. Jets are 0-5 playing the 2-3 Dolphins. Jets are going to go 0-6. Not a lot to recap there. The Battle of the 12s. Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady face off 325. on Fox this weekend. That's always fun to watch. Battle of the 12s. You know, there's always the narrative. Who's the better one? Obviously, Tom's got all the Lombardis, but Aaron has always been one of the brightest quarterbacks in our recent memory as NFL fans. So we'll see who comes out on top. I think the Packers win this one. We'll see. We'll see if Bruce Arians could put something together for this Tampa Bay offense. And the Tampa Bay defense has been playing well, but they're not necessarily a defense that can carry you to a win. So it's going to have to be an offensive shootout to keep it close. The Sunday night football game, 4-1 Rams against the 2-3 Niners. The Rams better win this one if they want to keep the division close with the Seahawks. The 49ers obviously lost last week to the Dolphins, so I don't think the 49ers should put up much of a fight, but if George Kittle has one of his monster career games, we could see something interesting here. We'll see what happens. I'm taking the Rams to keep the division close. They have to if they want to keep it close. Monday Night Football, there's a 4 o'clock Monday game, Chiefs versus Bills. This is going to be a really fun one to watch, and I'm not going to give you a pick on this one because I think it could go either way. If Patrick Mahomes continues to look human, the Bills could run away with it, but I don't expect Patrick Mahomes to fall off quite like he did last week against the Raiders. That could have just been great coaching, great scheming from John Gruden. So this Bills game and Chiefs game is a must-watch football game this week. I don't care who you're a fan of. You should watch this game just because I think it's going to be a really fun one to watch. And then the 7:15 Monday Night Football game on ESPN, 3-2 Cardinals at 2-3 Cowboys. This is another one where it should be really fun to watch. It's really too bad. I'm going to say it one more time. Thoughts and prayers to Dak Prescott, speedy recovery. It's too bad he's not playing in this game because I think it'd be even more fun to watch with Dak versus Kyler. But we'll see how Mike McCarthy handles his backup quarterback situation and kind of an offensive scheme going forward. I'm going to take the Cardinals on this one. I think it's going to be a really fun game to watch. Unlike the last one, I think the Cardinals are going to win this one. I think I can pick a favorite here. Some Cowboys fans might be upset. Maybe they can pull one off, but I really like what the Cardinals are doing. I think they can win this one. So I'm going to check the chat one last time, and we're going to sign off here. Some folks saying the game won't be a question. Chicago versus Carolina. Again, Bears defense is really good, but the Carolina passing offense is slept on right now. Robbie Anderson, nobody's talking about him, and DJ Moore is a really great rookie. So we'll see what happens for Carolina. That's about it. Cowboys are shocking Dilley Nation against the Cardinals. We'll see, man. We'll see. Thanks for being here with me, everybody in the chat. Thanks for being with me on air today. Had a lot of fun. Again, hit me up on social media. I just started a new YouTube channel. Subscribe, hit the bell. We are Dill Sport Radio. You can find me on any social media platform at Dill Sport Radio. Let's do it. Have a good one. Signing off.